Welcome to The Lion's Share, the podcast where family, faith, football, finance, and fun come together. Join Mitch Lyons, former NFL player turned financial pro, as he shares insights and stories from his unique journey. From navigating the financial playbook to celebrating life's touchdowns, this podcast is all about living a balanced and fulfilling life. So buckle up your chin strap, say your prayers, and let's dive into the game plan for a prosperous future both on and off the field.
And welcome to The Lion's Share. Hi, I'm your host, Mitch Lyons, where we like to talk about family, faith, football, finance, and fun. And today's topic is episode number 2 in a series called NFL Coaching Leadership Lessons. And this week's focus is going to be on June Jones, who was my coach in Atlanta from 1994 through 1996. He took over for Jerry Glanville, the coach that brought me into the league that we talked about on last episode. So Jerry gets fired at the end of 1993, and the Smith family hires June, who was the offensive coordinator, and they have him ascend to the throne to be the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. I'm a tight end who came into Atlanta under the guise of, like I said, Jerry Glanville, who up till that time had been a run and shoot offense, and he wanted to start adding a tight end into the mix. And I actually played quite a bit my rookie year and had the opportunity to get quite a few reps. And let's just say June was not as big of a fan of using a tight end. Okay, so that did not bode well for my future prospects in the NFL because I didn't feel I was going to get as much time, which played out to be true. But I'll touch on that in a little bit here. But June Jones, big difference between he and Jerry Glanville. June was not the eccentric, bombastic guy that Jerry Glanville was. You didn't see June wearing all black and leaving tickets for Elvis and racing trucks in the off season. June was a good golfer, very accomplished golfer, and had a lot of talent there. But June was cool, man. I liked June a lot. Very calm demeanor, very straightforward, and but as I mentioned, was very much a proponent of the run and shoot. He had coached in Detroit prior to coming to Atlanta, where many of the Lions fans might remember that offense called the Silver Streak back when they had Rodney Peete and Andre Ware that they drafted, the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback out of Houston, who kind of fizzled in the NFL, and Eric Kramer, who led them to the NFC Championship game in 1991. So June had some success in the NFL with this offense, and he and his quarterback coach, Mouse Davis, and actually Mouse is, he was quarterback coach because June kind of did the play calling still. But they were very much proponents of that. So Mitch Lyons, only tight end on the team, did not get a lot of reps over the course of my 3 years with them. But June would tell me the same thing at the end of every season. I'd come in for my exit interview, and he would say, "Listen, I know you're frustrated, but trust me, this is going to extend your career. You're not getting beat up." Which is true. I mean, I wasn't getting beat up because I wasn't getting the reps in the games like I wanted to, and any competitor wants to get on the field. But he was right in that I wasn't getting a lot of wear and tear in my body. But the upside wasn't as great as it might have been if I'd actually been getting reps. So I remember coming in there my last season, or coming into my last season there, 1995, and I'm half expecting to be let go or not signed. They had the rights to me, but the expansion, I didn't get put in the expansion draft. So when Carolina and Jacksonville came in, so they protected me from that. But I kind of had the impression that they would have had to double my salary to sign me that next year, to tender me an offer, and I didn't really expect them to take bump me up to $365,000 a year, which in my mind back then was a whole lot of money. And I didn't expect them to tender me. So I walked into that exit interview packed, ready to come back to Michigan. And, he's giving me the same old song and dance. Hey, I know you're frustrated. I know we can trust you though. And, when you're on the field, we know you can get the job done. So, just don't get discouraged. This is going to extend your career. And I kind of sat there like, okay, now what? And I finally just said, so are you tendering me? And he goes, oh yeah, obviously. So I left there thinking, all right, well, great. I just doubled my salary. But again, kind of painted into a corner there as far as opportunity going forward. So, but and that played out. June gets fired at the end of that 96 season, And, I was kind of on the outside looking in, didn't have a lot of people banging on the door at that point due to my lack of playing time those last few years in Atlanta. So, but anyway, things I learned from June. Number one, the one thing that stands out for me as I look back on June was he was a guy, a man of faith, that wore it on his sleeve. He didn't hide from it. He didn't keep it under, keep his light under a basket. I was a guy that, came to believe in Christ my rookie year as my Lord and Savior. And June was a guy that, he didn't separate himself from the team when it came to faith. A lot of coaches, I think, will do that and kind of stay away from players and whatnot. June actually would come into our chapels before games, and when we played home games in Atlanta, we actually stayed up in Sewanee at the they had their own motel up there by their headquarters, the Atlanta Falcons, Sewanee Falcon Inn, and so we would have our chapel on Saturday night actually, just because guys were all there together, and then the next day we'd drive down on our own to the stadium. So on the road we'd do it the day of the game, but on home games we'd do it the night before. So one thing I always remember with June was when he was in those chapels, he was engaged. And willing to share his thoughts. And one thing that sticks out to me that I always remember and I take with me to this day, we were talking about giving, right? And talking about tithing and should you give on your gross or your net. Guys had a lot of questions about it. I remember June just taking the opportunity to share with us. And he said, guys, I don't know how else to say it, he says, but all I know is that when I'm generous and I give more than what I maybe am comfortable doing, inevitably I end up getting some sort of windfall shortly thereafter that I wasn't expecting. And that always resonated with me, and I found that to be true a lot in my life. That number one, it's better to give than to receive. You really do get more satisfaction out of giving to others than you do in receiving stuff. But not only that, I mean, it just seems to multiply and comes back tenfold when you're generous. The Lord entrusts you, and when you handle the gifts He's given you, and you're generous with them, He wants to entrust more to you. So I definitely remember that from June, and then taking that with me every step of the way through life. The other thing is just his calmness, his demeanor in terms of when it was a stressful situation. You rarely ever saw June lose his cool, which, something I think every leader needs is to be able to separate themselves from the fray and not lose their temper and become emotional. I call it your responsibility, right? And meaning your responsibility, your ability to choose your response. And June was good at that. He didn't lose it very much. There is one funny story that I will share, where June did lose it a little bit. It's the 1995 season. We have 2 games left on the schedule. And we had a player on our team named Daryl Talley. Daryl had come over from the Buffalo Bills, who had gone to 4 Super Bowls, and Daryl was a big part of that defense. And Daryl was frustrated the entire season in Atlanta. He lockered next to me, and in the home locker room, and he was espousing all season how these defensive coaches didn't know what they were doing, and he may have been right. He came from a very successful team, so maybe there was a better way to do things, and Daryl thought he knew it. So it was kind of a frictional thing all year. And we needed to win one of our last 2 games to make the playoffs in 1995. We had the expansion Carolina Panthers away at their place in Week 15, or we had to come home and play the San Francisco 49ers, who happened to be still playing for the number 1 seed and were the best team in the NFC at that point. So it's pretty clear looking at it on paper that, we got a better chance of beating the Panthers than we do the Niners. So we go up to Carolina, and we proceed to lose to the expansion Carolina Panthers. So now we are 8-7, and we have to go home and play a Christmas Eve game against the Niners in order to make the playoffs. Doesn't look good for the Atlanta Falcons. So we come to the game the next day, and when you came to the game there, you had a player's lot that was kind of cordoned off from the rest of the parking lot. It had some fencing around it, and we, you'd park your car and you'd walk in through security and whatnot and get to the locker room. Well, June pulls the team up ahead of, before the game, for final time to go out onto the field. And he's giving his little pep talk, talking about, hey guys, y'all know what's at stake here. We control our own destiny. If we win this game, we're in, and it's all right before us. Here's our opportunity. And he goes, oh, and one more thing. Whoever has the U-Haul trailer packed behind their car out there, you can just get up and get out of here. And he said it a little more aggressively than that. He was quite frustrated. Well, lo and behold, that was Darryl Talley. Darryl Talley had come to the game with his U-Haul packed so he could head to his home in Florida after we lost that game, which is unbelievable if you think about it. I mean, here's an NFL guy, a winner who had won a lot of games in Buffalo, and he came to that game fully expecting us to lose, and that didn't happen, as it turned out. We ended up rallying. Bobby Hebert comes in. That's another funny story I'll share. He comes in 3 plays short of the second half. Jeff George is our quarterback, and Jeff got hurt 3 plays before the end of the half. Bobby Hebert comes in and finishes out. I think he even took a knee on the last play just to finish the half, and he ends up leading us to a win. In the second half, comes down, hits Terrence Mathis on a game-clinching touchdown pass and a great run by T-Math, as I recall, diving into the end zone. We win the game, and obviously Darryl wasn't going to Florida at that point, but we come in the next morning, or not the next morning. June gave us Christmas morning with our loved ones, but we had to come in later that afternoon on Christmas Day to kind of start prepping for the playoffs, which we had to go to Green Bay and play that next week. And we were the Saturday game, so we had to get started with the prep. And we come in, and Bobby's pretty sore. Bobby hadn't played a lot. Bobby Hebert hadn't played a lot all year. And he comes in, and you could tell he's kind of achy. I go, how you doing, bud? And he's like, oh, man, my body, I'm just not used to getting hit like that. He's got a little Cajun drawl, which I don't replicate very well. But I go, well, how was your Christmas? Do you have a good Christmas with the kids? And he said, yeah. He goes, oh, man. He goes, after we did all the presents with the kids, Teresa, his wife at the time, he said, Teresa, handed me an envelope out of the tree. I thought it was some, maybe a vacation or something she had set up for us. And I open it up, and it's a check for $250,000, kind of mocked up said payable to me. And unbeknownst to him, Bobby didn't even know this, and Teresa didn't either until their agent told her at the end of the game. But Bobby had a clause in his contract that if he played more than a half in any game that directly led to us making the playoffs, he had a $250,000 bonus in his contract. So this guy came in 3 plays before the end of the half. Might have even been 1 or 2 plays, because I remember him taking a knee to end the half. And he comes in, kills the ball, kills the clock, and finishes out the half, comes out, ends up winning the game, and picks up an extra 250 G's. So not a bad day to be Bobby Hebert. So that's an interesting story. But anyway, we made the playoffs that year. We went on to lose to Green Bay, the next week in a tough setting in Lambeau when they had Reggie White and Brett Favre and that whole crew. But that was a good ride. And then unfortunately, the next year, things went sour. We were 3-13, and June was shown the door, and went on to coach. Actually, coached for a little bit, and took over in an interim basis with the San Diego Chargers, and then was a longtime college coach with Hawaii and SMU. But I had some chats with him later on talking about recruits and stuff down later in years. But again, the thing I'll share the most, the lesson that I got out of June that resonates with me to this day, is don't back away from your faith. Be strong in your faith. Be bold in your faith. Lead with that mindset, and you can't go wrong. Life's going to throw you curves. Life's going to throw you ups and downs. But if you put your faith first, and it gives you good perspective on all the ups and downs that you're facing. So anyway, I'll leave you with that. If you like this episode and you like this series, hey, please like it, click like below, subscribe, and you get alerted when we come out with new episodes. Go to MitchLyonsWealth.com and follow me on any of my social media platforms, pretty much across the board, including a YouTube page where you can catch all the past episodes and whatnot. So until next time, this is Mitch Lyons signing off from The Lion's Share.
Thank you for joining another episode of The Lion's Share. We hope you found value in our discussions on family, faith, football, finance, and fun. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you enjoyed the show. Connect with Mitch on all social media platforms at MitchLyonsWealth.com. Until next time, remember to protect your wealth, cherish your loved ones, and live life to the fullest.